Thank you all for coming to the advanced session on mastering Tableau. Saw many of you all in the session earlier, headed by Bryant. So we want to thank you all for coming back again. My name is Andre Goodman. I lead the enterprise reporting team, and I'm here with my colleague, Lou Kaba.
Yeah, my name is Lou Kaba, and I'm a BI developer. I've been at Georgia Tech for like 8 years now. So, yeah.
All right. So in this session, we're going to do a similar format from this morning, and we're going to have everyone walk through building a more advanced version of Tableau. So you went through the first session. You all are now no longer neophytes. You're ready for the big league. So we're going to try to provide you some new, cooler ways to kind of build out visualizations. And so just follow along with us. So like last time, you'll want to navigate to tableau.godtech.edu. If you've already logged in, that's great. If not, you'll be prompted with Duo. Once you've logged in, you may be presented with a list of sites. Please choose Georgia Institute of Technology. Once you've done that, you may be presented with a list of folders. If you are, go ahead and click into that demo folder. This is where we're going to be doing our demo and hands-on building. There's 3 folders. The only real folder that you all will really be interacting with today is the sandbox. When you're in the demo folder, you'll see this button that says new. For what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a workbook. So you'll click new and then click workbook. I'll give just a few seconds to make sure everyone's logged in. If you have questions, just raise your hand. Brian or Lou will be able to help you out, James as well as Justin. So just let us know if you have any issues as you're getting there, all right? So we'll click into workbook, and that'll open up a connect to data pane. So for most folks, you'll just see a few data sources. If you don't, go ahead and type Tableau University. All right, and you should get at least 3 data sources that come back. For the first demo, we're going to do degrees. This is a fake data source around degrees at a university, Tableau University, all right? So let's click on connect. All right. So in the previous session, Bryant touched on doing calculated fields, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making a series of calculated fields to speed up your development. Calculated fields are just transformations on existing fields in your data set. So think if you have a number field and you want to aggregate it, you can put a sum in front of it, and then you have a sum of your number field. If you want to do some kind of string manipulation on a field, that's another form of doing a calculated field. So you're going to run through a series of calculated fields to get you started. If I'm going too fast, please tell me to slow down, but I'll go ahead and start. So in your field list, which is over here, so when I refer to your field list, this is what I'm referring to. There is a drop down here that's called, we call it just a field option list. Click here, and let's do a create calculated field, all right? I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Before we do that, we're actually going to create a set, because what we're going to do is create a drill down in our report. So there's a field here called college, all right? So right click that field, and you should go up to the options that says create, and we're going to create a set, okay? So create that set, and that'll just populate right here. So when you're developing in Tableau, it's really important to stay organized, because as you can see, there's a lot of fields listed here. So we're going to do some organization as well as we build out this stuff. So in that drop down that we showed earlier, we're going to actually click on group by folder, because we want to group some of the fields that we're creating so we have easy access to them. So you click on that drop down here, and then you click group by folder. What that's going to allow you to do is take your fields and put them in an actual folder. So that field that we just created, that college set, let's right click that, go to folders, and let's click on create folder. And we'll just name that folder custom calculations. So we'll repeat those steps. So the first step was right click college, create set, which will create that field. And then we go up to the options here, group by folder. And then we right click that field that we created under folders. If you haven't already done this, it'll say create folder, and then we'll just name it. All right, so now we have our first field, and this is where we'll be putting the rest of our calculated fields, okay? So the next step is we go to our drop down up here, and we do create calculated field. So we are gonna call this calc field college/degree. Because what we're going to be doing later is doing a drill down where you can see the college and the number of degrees, but if you click, you can see the degree count as well. So to first write this out, we're going to do a conditional statement. And conditional statement just means if something is this, then do that. If something is this, then do that. So that's what we're going to do here. So we'll start by saying if, and then we're going to say not, N-O-T. And then we're going to reference our college set. So the cool thing about Tableau is that if you type out your fields, it'll start to try to autocomplete. So if you don't want to type it all the way out, if you start and you see the field that you're trying to reference, you can go ahead and click it. So we'll say if not college set, then college. And we will reference this field, college. Does that look okay so far? All right. And then we'll say else degree program. So even though I've typed only 3 letters, it's already done an autocomplete. So you can just click degree program. And then after that, we can say end. All right. And you know you did it correctly because it'll tell you the calculation is valid. If it doesn't tell you that it's valid, double check to make sure that you didn't do 2 I's in the if or 2 O's in the not. All right. So we're satisfied with that. We're basically saying if not the college set, then college, otherwise degree program. And we can say okay. We can right click that field and say add to folder. So that way we can keep them all together. And this is really good if you give this workbook to someone else, they know what's a calculated field versus what is just a native field. All right. Everybody doing all good online too? Okay, perfect. So the next field we'll create is called a drill down calculated field. So we'll go back and do create calculated field. And this time we are going to call this drill down. Okay. And the logic behind that will be if not, and we'll reference college set again. So we get that autocomplete again here. Then we have a field called arrow right in here. And all that is basically a picture for an arrow. So we'll type arrow and we'll choose arrow right. So basically what we're saying, if we have not selected the college set, then show the arrow as right. But when we do select the college set, it'll show us the arrow down. And it's just a way to animate the expansion of your list. And you'll see that as we go through. Just give us just a moment. We need to change out our batteries. All right. So after we say arrow right, we'll do an else. And then we'll say arrow down. Okay. So meaning when we don't click on the college set, it'll just present as if it's a compact list. But if we click on it, then it'll show an animation of the expansion of the list. And again, we'll show you how that looks as we put this together. To close out any conditional statement, you always want to end your statement with end. And again, if you don't have the calculations valid, make sure you've checked your syntax and spelling to make sure you've referenced the correct fields. All right. So we'll hit OK. Yeah, it's in the chat. Yeah. And just like the last field, we will right click and add that field to the custom calculations. The next step we will make is creating a parameter because we want to really impress our boss and we want to allow that our boss to be able to choose multiple different measures and dimensions when they're looking at our report because they're going to ask you, what about this? What about that? And the cool thing is you can create a parameter where you can add additional stuff in there so that they can pick and choose what they want to see. So we're going to create a parameter. And the way we do that is the same option here. We do the drop down. And instead of choosing calculated field, this time we're going to choose create parameter. So click that. And we're going to name this parameter something really interesting. We're going to call it view by. Now with the parameters, we have a lot of different options that we can select. One of the options that's really important is the data type because the data type will indicate what type of fields it'll be able to accept. So if you think back to when you're using Excel, you have multiple different types of data types. The one we're going to be using is a string one, which means it's going to be using letters. There's other options like date or Boolean, which is true and false, floats for decimal numbers, and integers for typically whole numbers. But we're going to be using string for what we're going to be doing. Okay. The next step is that we're going to put some allowable values in here because we want to sort of control how. I think somebody's. Oh, okay. We're going to control exactly how what you can view your report by. So we're going to put some information in here. First and foremost, we're going to say campus level. I'm sorry, campus, not level. And we'll hit enter. The second value we'll put in is level. And be sure to be cognizant of what you put in here in terms of how you spell it, because we're going to be referencing these values later. So if you misspell it or if you put a capital where it shouldn't be, then that'll affect the calculation later. So make sure you're giving it proper case as you're typing this out. The next one will be gender. You hit enter. And then the last one will be ethnicity. Okay. So we have 4 values in here. And obviously, if you're building this report, you can put how many ever dimensions you like in here. And again, it allows the end user of your reports to have some customization on how they are viewing your dashboard. Okay. Mm-hmm. Copy the values from calculation, paste it into whatever. That's a good option as well. So make sure everyone make sure you have your values in here properly listed. Okay. All right. So we have a couple shirts to give away, and to make sure everyone's engaged, I'm going to ask a couple questions throughout the session just to see if you're paying attention, and you can win a shirt of your choosing. All right. All right. So what do I want to ask? All right, and the people online can answer this as well. So Brian's looking to see whoever answers first. So we'll allow the people online to answer first this time, because we want to make sure you all engaged as well. But I don't know how we get you the shirt though, so maybe that's not going to work. All right, let's do it like this. When we create a parameter, in this example, what data type did we use? That's not fair. You're on our team. All right, well, let's do it like this. When you create a parameter, list at least 2 data types you can use in that parameter. And James, you can't answer either. Okay, Jalen. Okay, so there's a couple shirts up there. You feel free to pick whichever one you want. All right, so we'll continue on, and we'll do this, throughout this session. All right, so we've got a parameter that should be looking good. The next step we'll take is we'll make a calculated field that references that parameter. So we'll go back up here and do create calculated field. And this one we will name view by, because we want to stay consistent. Okay. So error. Okay. So the first thing we'll do is reference a case statement. Case statement is another version of a conditional logic that allows us to present different things based off of different inputs. So first and foremost, we'll type case, hit enter. And we're going to reference view by. So you should only have one view by listed because we haven't saved this calculation yet. So we'll click that view by. And if you notice, this shows up as a purple field because it's referencing a parameter. The next step we'll take is we'll say when, and we'll do single quotations and say campus. And make sure you're using the single quotes. And then you'll do then, and we'll type campus. And the autocomplete will show up and we'll just click campus. The next one will be when level, then level. And if you're starting to catch the drift of what I'm doing, I'm basically saying when my parameter is set to campus, then show me the campus dimension. When my parameter is set to level, show me the level dimension. Again, this allows you to sort of on the fly allow your end users to customize the views that they're looking at. And we'll continue on with our other fields. So we'll do which one are we on? Ethnicity, okay. Gender, okay.
I mean, the order.
That's true. So the order in here doesn't matter as long as you reference all of them. But just for the sake, I'll just stay consistent. Then we'll say then. In this data set, the native field is called sex. So we'll choose the sex description. And then we'll hit enter again and say when ethnicity, then race description. And the last piece, we'll just close it out by using end. So the calculation, again, is the calculation is valid. That means you did it correctly, and you should be able to hit OK and save it. All right, and the last let's do it like this. Let's add that to our folder. Okay, and then the last calculation we will do, so we'll go back up here to create calculated field. And this one will be degree count. And all we're going to do is just count the IDs in this data set. So you can type count, hit enter, and it'll autocomplete that expression. And inside of that expression, you can just type ID and click that ID. And that should give you a valid expression. Hit OK, right click that and let's add that to our folder as well. So if we look, we've got a couple fields that are listed here and it's starting to look really good. So we'll take a pause. We'll look around the room to make sure everyone is feeling good about where they're at. Okay, perfect. Just grab a shirt over there. I think you might be able to. Right click it and see if you can add it.
Or put a
Yeah.
thing. There are actually two different ones. This is my planner.
Yeah.
This is my
That's the field.
calculation.
Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, I feel like you could do a P.
That's smart, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the degree count. Okay. Mm-mm. And while everyone's catching up, I got asked a question about reserved words for calculated fields. So the way to see all of the reserved functions is when you open up that create calculated window, there's a little button over here to the right. If you click that, that'll actually show you all of the functions that Tableau will accept as inside of the calculated field. It's divvied up based off of different types. What we're typically using right now is the logical one because we're using the case and the if statements. So if you wanted to see what other types of functions that are available, you could just click that little button here and it'll show you that. Good question. Yes. So let's take a look at that view by calculated field. And I apologize, I might have confused people by naming it the same thing as the parameter. But this is what the calculated, sorry. So, yeah.
And then the list will actually say that as well, certainly.
Mhm. Okay. So when you're looking at this calculated field, you're doing a case statement, you're referencing that parameter, and then you're listing out each of the when clauses. I'm gonna see if I can copy that. All right. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go on to task number 2. So now that we have our calculated fields, we're gonna go ahead and start building this visualization. So down here, you see it's named sheet 1. We're gonna right click that and rename it. And we're gonna name this degrees or some derivative of it. So again, right click down here, do rename, and then rename that sheet and hit OK. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to pull over college. So we see college, we're going to click and drag that over to rows. And now we see all the colleges inside of this data set. The next step is we're going to take our drill down field and add that into the rows as well. And if you notice, that's where I have the arrows. Okay. And then after that, we're going to drag over the college/degree. So now we're going to do a little trick in Tableau to kind of tidy this up because this doesn't look that good. All right. So we're going to right click college. And there's a list of different options. In this case, we're going to do uncheck show header. We have this field here just so that it the fields whenever we expand it, it expands on the right college, but we're not going to show that to the end user. Okay. The second thing we're going to do is take the degree count. We're going to drag that over to the columns. Okay. And then we're going to drag it again. So you should have degree count twice on your columns up here. And just a simple drag and drop. Being frowns, are we good? So we're going to make a dual axis chart. So we have to have 2 axes, which means we have to have 2 measures. And really, it's just a trick to create a visual. So we'll show you that. So now that you have these 2 measures here, we're going to right click this field, the second degree count field. And at the very bottom, you should have an option that says dual axis. Go ahead and click on that. So we're going to take a pause right here because when we did that, if you noticed, and I'll do an undo real quick. If you notice over here, we have a bunch of marks available. One that's for all of the marks, which means for both of these, but then we also have an option to specify how we want to control the first degree count as well as the second degree count. So as I'm talking through, make sure you understand when I say put something on the marks for all, this is the one you'll choose. When I say put something on the marks card for degree count, this will be the one you choose, which will be the first degree count here. And when I say put something on the marks card for degree count 2, then you'll use this one. So it's really important to make sure you are keeping track on where you're dropping a field when you're working with dual axis charts, because it's really easy to get confused and out of sorts. So I want to make sure everyone is observing that they have multiple options over here. And when I say all, choose the all one. When I say the first degree count, choose this one. When I say do the second degree count, choose this one. And it should have 2 in there as well. So you'll see it says degree count 2, all right? What's wrong? Just a lot of glare. Yeah. So again, when we put that second field on to the columns, we right-clicked, we did dual axis, and that allows us to have multiple ways to interact with our marks. And like I said, just keep in mind when we talk about this, keep in mind which one you're choosing. It's really easy to do it automatically and not remember that you have to be thoughtful about which one you're using. All right, so we're going to start with the all marks. So let's click on all. And we're going to put a couple fields on this marks card. So we're first going to start with college degree. We're going to drag that over to tooltip. All right. The next one we'll drag over is view by to tooltip. And then the last one we'll drag over is degree count to the tooltip. So all that goes on the all marks card on tooltips. Now we've done a lot so far. So let's make sure we don't lose our work, and let's publish this so we can save our work, so we can make sure we don't lose it. So if you've done the tooltips already, go ahead and click on Publish As, go into the demo folder, Demo Sandbox, and let's name it Degree, I don't know if I can spell correctly, and maybe put your initials. Once you've done that, make sure it's in the right folder, Degree Sandbox, not Viz Challenge, but Sandbox QA, and then hit Publish. All right. So now that we've done that, when we make any significant changes, we can come back up here and just hit Publish, and it'll save our work. So just keep that in mind. Is if you lose your internet connection, it's always good to keep making sure you publish to save your space. Okay? So just to recount again, we added degree count twice. We did a dual axis here. On our all marks card, we added college and degree to the tooltip, view by to the tooltip, and degree count. So we'll move over to the actual degree count marks. Okay? So again, we have more than one, so we're going to choose the first one. So we're going to change this visual. So when I say visual, this is where we're deciding how we want this to show up. We're going to change this visual to a line. Okay? So it's a line now. And now we have a new option that showed up called path. Okay? So we're going to take the view by field that we created earlier, and we're going to drag that field to the path. Okay. Next, we're going to click on size. We're going to make this pretty big. Okay. So if you notice what I did on the degree count, I changed it to line. I took the view by and dropped it on this path here. And then I changed the size to be a little bit larger. While you're doing that, I'll tidy this up a little bit because we want to kind of give it a little bit more space. So I'll make this cell size a little bigger. So if you notice when you hover between the lines, you get that expansion icon. You can drag it down to make it a little bit bigger. Make sure you don't click on any of these because this will throw you all off. So just be careful about that. Okay. All right. So when I did that, if you notice, it took me back to all. And the reason why I'm always telling you to make sure you're paying attention to this, because it's really easy to just forget that you have to choose the right one. And you might choose the wrong one, okay? So let's go back to our degree count. So we've already changed the size to a bit larger. We're gonna change the color to maybe a light shade of gray. Something like that. So now that we've done that, we're gonna move on to degree count 2. So we're gonna come down to this last one, scroll down a little bit. And we're gonna switch this from automatic to circle. Okay. And then we're gonna take view by and put it on the color. And make sure you're doing this on degree count 2. We changed it to circle and we did view. We put the view by on color. Next, we will make this mark size a little bit smaller. Okay. That will make it really small. Okay. And just to accentuate this, I'm going to make the size on my first degree count a little bit bigger. All right. Are we still tracking? Think so. All right, we got a pause moment. We're gonna ask another question. All right, are y'all ready? When you add 2 fields to the columns and you wanna show them on the same axis, what option do you have to select? I can't hear. That is correct, dual axis. All right, so you get to choose a shirt. Thank you. All right. So the last thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna add a filter because your leadership may not want to look at the entirety of the university's graduation. They may want to whittle it down to a specific date range. So we're going to go over to our filters list again, and we're going to look for grad date, okay? And we're going to drag and drop grad date onto filters, okay? So you'll get some options that are listed here. In this example, we're going to do range of dates because we want them to be able to select a range. So we'll click range of dates, and then we'll go click next. This looks good, so we can click OK here. All right. So we have come a long way, but it looks kind of plain, right? The reason being is we're looking at main campus, and in this data set, there's only one campus. So we're going to test this data to make sure it looks right. So we go down to our parameters. I want you to right-click that view by parameter, and then click Show Parameter. Okay. So now you have your parameter on the right side here, and if you click on that, you now see you have multiple options to choose from. So what we're going to do here is click on Level. Now, if you notice, now your chart looks a lot different. You now see some comparisons between how many undergraduates versus graduate students have graduated, degree counts, right? Are you all seeing that on your end? Okay. And if you want to test this out, you can choose multiple options here. So you can choose different stuff to see how this gets viewed. Okay. And again, this is set up in a way where the folks who are looking at your report can go through multiple options to see exactly what they are looking for. Okay. So that's the first step, right? The next step we'll do is pretty straightforward. So we're going to treat this as the main body of the report, but in a lot of reports, it's good to have a header that sort of summarizes data. So we're going to come down here and click on New Worksheet. So I just click that little plus sign that says New Worksheet down here, and we're going to rename this sheet to Degree Header. Okay. So just right click that sheet, hit rename, and say Degree Header. And the only thing we're going to add to this sheet is the college. We'll put that on the rows. I'm sorry, not rows, but columns actually, because we're going to treat it as like a header, almost like a KPI. The next step is we will add degree count. We're going to take that and we're going to actually just drop it where you see ABC. Or if you don't want to do it that way, you can take degree count and drop it on text. So you can do either way. So now that we have it like that, we're going to make this a little bit easier to look at. So I'm going to drag this down a little bit so that it doesn't look so messy. And going to change the width to fit the width so it stretches out more. So up here, I just did fit width. Okay. That way it doesn't look weird. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. So you got your two sheets. The next step we'll do is do new dashboard. Okay, so we just click new dashboard. We can rename this to something really fancy, degree metrics. All right, and over here, you should have your list of sheets. Depending on the size of your machine, you might have to scroll. So if you're not seeing both sheets, there should be like a little scroll bar over here, or you may have to change your resolution. All right. So we got the name of the dashboard. We're going to scroll all the way down here and we're going to click Show Dashboard Title. That way they know what they're looking at. We're going to center this by double clicking there and doing center. And then hitting OK. All right. So now we're ready to build our dashboard. So first we'll do dashboard header, We'll just drag that over. And then we will take our degrees and try to drop it under. So yeah. So we dropped it under and we'll resize it so that it looks good. Let me do this. There we go. We don't need this, so we can right click and say hide title to get some more space back. We can right click this, hide title, and get some more space back. We can pull this up some. Probably can pull this up a little bit since we have enough space to see it. So at this point, it's just kind of tidying it up to make it look a little bit more presentable. Everyone has different preferences, so whatever your preference is, you kind of go that route. Just to save our space, hit publish. Okay. And if you notice, when we put this on here, Tableau brought over our parameter, which is really nice. It's really great. Okay. So we're going to take this parameter, just click on it, and it's going to give us this little handle. We're going to drag that handle to the top and just release. Okay. Another thing it did was it gave us our key, because people aren't going to really know what blue means, right? So click here and take that handle and let's put it at the bottom. So we'll put it right here. I think I did it wrong. So if you do it wrong, just hit undo and we'll do it over. Okay. So let's make sure I'm doing it right. So I'm trying to make sure I put it below here. I think because I have some, I might be so zoomed in. Let me zoom out just a little bit so I can see properly. There we go. All right. Zoom back in. Okay. So now that key is sitting down there. So we have the key so that people can see exactly what we're talking about when we, show this stuff. So this looks pretty good, but we're going to add that filter that we added earlier. So if you see, let me X this out. If you go up to analysis, let me click here, make sure. Good. So I'm going to click on this sheet and go back to analysis. So I just want to make sure everybody's following. Click on your main sheet down here where you have your actual visualization, and then go back up to analysis. And you should get a filter option. Click on grad date. Well, I don't know where to put it. Oh, I put it all the way down here. Okay. We don't want our filter down here. So we're going to drag that up by first clicking. We'll take the handle and we'll drag it back up. I may need to zoom out a little bit to get some more space on this canvas here. All right. I'm going to continue to drag that filter up. And I'm actually going to put it right by my parameter here. Okay. I'm going to move this back up a little bit so it's not so far down. Okay. So now I have my filters set up. So if I want to change the date, I can change campus to show different metrics on my dashboard. But if you notice, when I click here, it doesn't do anything. And I thought we were going to do drill downs. Okay. So let's make that work. Move this up a little bit more. All right. So once you got your dashboard how you want, let's make some actions on here. Okay. So we'll go up to the dashboard. And under dashboard, there's an action option. You click that. and you'll get a menu for dashboard action. Dashboard actions are basically allows you to add additional functionality to your dashboard, either by doing drill downs, linking out to URLs, doing dynamic filtering, opening up different workbooks. It allows you to do quite a bit of different things. But in this one, we're going to just create an action that allows us to do a drill down. So we're going to go to add action. We're going to choose change set values. So we'll click on that. And we are going to call this degree. Drill down. Because if you're building a dashboard and you have a lot of actions, it's really important to name them so you know at a glance what they're doing. For source sheets, we're going to choose the dashboard degree metrics. Luckily, we don't have any other dashboard, so that's good. And we're going to select both of these sheets. We're going to leave the run action as it is on select, but we're going to change the target set to college set. Okay. Click that. The last thing we'll change, well, not the last, next to the last thing we'll change is running this action will add values to set. Clearing the selection will remove all values from set. So take a moment to make sure you set your actions in a similar manner. All right. Hit OK. And then we'll hit OK. All right. So now that we have that set up, when we click the drill down, we get all of the degrees inside of that college. You see how it's drilling down now? And then when we click the next one, it's drilling down as well. Now, it may be a little bit hard to see because the canvas is a little bit small, so I want to zoom out just so that you get more of a fuller effect here. So I apologize. This is a little difficult to see. I'm going to try to get some more space back here. So this is what it looks like now. So when you click, you drill down, and you get to see exactly the drill down. And if you click again, it'll close it back up. So that's how it works. So that's how you create a dashboard that has a lot of interactivity, a little bit of visualization flair. And if you wanted to change the filters here, you can change it and it'll change the data accordingly. So that's our first example. We'll give you a couple minutes just to kind of make sure you're on point, and then we'll kick it over to Lou to show how to do this with enrollment.
Okay, so it's 3:40. I guess like everybody, I hope everybody can hear me. Going back to Tableau demo project. Oh, okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay, much better. Going back to the demo project on Tableau server, we can click on the new arrow and select workbook. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing as Andre did. If I can move this mouse. Okay, so we looking for Tableau University. Okay. Once you type Tableau University, type enter. And this time we're selecting enrollment, Tableau University enrollment. You can double click on it or select it and click connect. So that will open up the web edit. And the difference right here is like we're not gonna go through like creating calc field because in the morning we didn't know like if we'll have like enough time to basically do calc field in 2 sessions. So what happened here, we just like went ahead and created the calc field. Since like most of the calc field are the same as Andre created this morning, so we just wanted to save time. So hopefully this session will basically go through because like the majority of it is gonna be just like drag and drop and like basically doing like some of the adjustment. So we will be working inside of this folder, the custom calculation. Everything we will be using will be from this folder right here. So the first thing we will do is we have like a sheet right here already. So it's naming that sheet to enrollment header. Okay. Once you name it enrollment header, just go ahead and type and press enter. Okay, so this is gonna be really straightforward. The next thing we will do is basically dragging a filter. So the filter we will use for this one is the current term code. So I guess that we're gonna use something outside of the folder. So if I type current term code, so if you look for something you don't find it, you can just type in the search box term, and that will return like all the values. And the one we're looking for is the current term. So this is basically a calculated field, and what it does, like it basically return like the current term. So all I have to do is select that current term 2023-08 and press enter. Okay. So basically all the data we will get on this sheet is like basically for this term. The next thing we will do is basically select a college. So from the search box, if you type the term or something to search, you basically have to go and clear that search. So if I delete that, we get back to like the custom calculation folder. And right here, we just select college and drag college to the column area. Oh. Yeah, this mouse doesn't have a mouse pad, so it's not that easy to move that stuff. Okay. That's true. Okay, hold on. One more time. Yeah, Andre was a professional doing this because I think I think I'm not that good at it. So once you add the college, once you add the college, what you do next is basically making sure like this fit the entire width of the screen. And to do that, it's basically just selecting this and from standard go into like fit width. That will basically move like the entire area to cover the entire screen. Okay. And maybe I can do like a full screen. Yeah, let's try. Thank you. We're here. Okay, so this is much better. Then like the next thing we wanna do is like move the enrollment count. And this calculated field is basically the same thing as the degree count you did earlier. The only difference where here is like instead of count in that calculated field, this one is using count distinct, which will count every single employee only once, regardless of how many times they appear in a data set. So where here, the only thing I need to do is drag it to text or drag it to the ABC area right here. Or I guess I can double click it, which is a lot easier. Yeah, and you can adjust the height of it, like the text area if you want. Yeah. So yeah, for this header, this is basically about it. So this one is like a really straightforward. I don't know if everybody is up there or if anybody needs help. Okay, so it's gonna be going back at the bottom again and creating a new sheet, which we will name this time enrollment. So to name it, just double click on sheet 2 and type enrollment. Once you're done, press enter. Okay. So on this also, like the first thing we will do, we will start with the filter again, but this time we will look for the measure name. So if we go into the search box and look for measure, yes, this one doesn't want to type. Yeah, this keyboard doesn't like me. Okay, so I'm just gonna look for it by scrolling down. So yeah, this is the field we're looking for, and just like dragging this and dropping it into the filter. And okay, okay, so yeah, it's gonna be unchecking everything, and the options that we need are enrollment counts. Yeah. Yeah, the mic is on. Probably the positioning wasn't good. Is it better now? I have no idea. Can you hear me now? Can you hear? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're having some issues with this mouse. Yeah, it's just crazy. Okay, so after unchecking everything in the filter, we're gonna look for the enrollment count, select that, and year ago enrollment. So the only two filters we need are enrollment counts and year ago enrollment. So once those two are selected, press apply or just like okay. Okay. And the next thing we're gonna do is like drag the rows that we will need for this report. And for that, we will scroll up to the to the custom calculation folder and select college and drag college to row. And right here, we can basically adjust the height of it if we want, or leave it as is. The next we will do is like drag the drill down. And this drill down is basically the same as the one Andre did in the prior session. So just like drag this field next to the college. And the last field we need is like the college slash department. And the logic is also the same as the previous one. So all I would do is like either double click it or basically click it and drag it in front of the drill down. For a Mac or so the next thing is basically doing what Andre also did is like basically hide this college from the result. So for that, the only thing I have to do is uncheck um, this header right here, show header. And if I don't want this field to also show in a tooltip, I also uncheck the bottom one. But right now, like the only thing we're interested in is making sure it doesn't show in the header. From there, like I can basically go and also make sure like this fit the width. So go into the tab and basically clicking and selecting fit width. I can also adjust like the width right here and move this also a little bit so all the description shows. Okay, so I can adjust the height. And for the formatting, what I can do is like you can format this however way you want. There is like a format right here where you can format the entire worksheet, or you can basically do the selection right here and go by that. But if we go to the format the workbook, I can select right here for the entire workbook what kind of like font I want. Like so, if I select Tahoma, which would be TAH, it will basically return like the only option and like the font you and the font color you want. So if you want to select the dark color, to close that, just click away, and you can select the font size you want for your workbook. So let's say if I select 10 right here, so that will apply to all my workbook right here. Then like if I want to change the workbook title and everything, I can adjust also those font size. Okay, so if, for example, I want to change this, yeah, I think that should be good. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is like add a measure, and for this, what I'm gonna do is move the measure value. Before, for the filter, we added the measure name. Now we're looking for the measure value. And for that, we can scroll all the way at the bottom. Usually the measures are at the bottom. And the last field right here, we select that field and either move it to the text or move it to those ABC. So what I'm gonna do is click and drag it to the text. Then like, oh, sorry, moving it to the column, like not the text. Yeah. Yeah, moving it to the column. Okay. So from there, like basically the mark we have right now is an automatic mark. We need to change that mark to like a line. So from there, select a line. And now like what we will do is like basically do the formatting to get to the chart we're trying to accomplish. And for that, we will drag more fields. So what we need to drag now are the color, and the color is basically just like a calculated field that select like if something is like this term or if it's not this term. So if we scroll up again to the custom calculation, there should be a field right here named color. So what we need to do with that field is move that field to the color palette. So to do that, just click on it and move it to color. Oh, no. I need to select it and move it to color. Let me make sure like this area is a bit bigger. Okay, yeah, I can't do that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is move the measure name and put it on the size palette. So either type the name or like basically scroll down just before the end of like the dimensions and find the measure name, drag that one into size. So right now we just like move just the color and the measure name. And we will also select that measure name again, but this time move it to path. So we're starting to get an idea of like where we're heading. The next thing we need to do is like move some fields to the tooltip. And those fields will be like at the top of the page. So the current term, enrollment, so let's change the enrollment count to current count enrollment. Current term enrollment. So that one will be, yeah. That one will be this one. Yeah. So what I will do is like move my filter again, the measure name back into filter, uncheck everything and select the current term enrollment. No, you can edit it. Yeah, you can edit your filter. If you double click on the filter, yeah, double click it and uncheck the enrollment count and check the current enrollment. So it's gonna be the current enrollment and a year ago enrollment. And select OK. Okay. So I need to move back again right now, like I only have color. Since I removed the measure, I need to bring them back on again. So what I'm gonna do is move the measure to the size and move it to the path also. So I'm gonna do the size first and move the measure to the path. And the measure name, oh, the measure values. And the measure value, because I removed the measure earlier, it kind of like remove a lot of stuff. So the measure value needs to be on the column now. So what happened was like changing the filter instead of having the enrollment count and changing the enrollment count to the current term enrollment. And also checking the year ago enrollment. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we will do is like basically add the tooltip. And the field we will add to the tooltip is the current term enrollment. So I need to scroll up and this is the current term enrollment. I need to drag that to the tooltip. Once that's done, the next field to be moved is the enrollment difference. That one be moved also to the tooltip. Oh. Sorry, I'm having some issues with this mouse. Okay, enrollment difference to the tooltip. Okay, the last field to be added to the tooltip will be a year ago enrollment. So if I select year ago and move it to tooltip, that will be the last tooltip. And we still need to add like, oh no, not the last tooltip. That was the last measure that needed to be added to the tooltip. I need to add 3 more dimensions to the tooltip. The next dimension to be added to the tooltip is the current term code. So the current term code is here, and I just need to drag that to the tooltip. And I will drag the plus or minus to the tooltip. And the year ago term code. Okay. So basically, at this point, we're getting closer to what we need to get to. Let me see if my mouse will allow me to basically adjust the height of it. I can basically format this workbook line. Yeah, this workbook can be formatted like the lines if you want to remove the line or add the lines, and basically make it look like the way you want. If you want to remove this like header to hide these values, you can just like right click on it and uncheck the show header. That would just like hide this right here if you don't want to see that. So basically that was it for this worksheet. The next thing we will do is basically group all of this into a dashboard. So since we have like the enrollment, we have the enrollment header, I can just like we can just name this the enrollment dashboard. Yeah, to select the dashboard, it's just like the middle one. The first one is the worksheet and the middle one is the dashboard. Once you enter the name, you just like click enter. And when you do that, every single worksheet that's in your dashboard that's not assigned to a dashboard, that's in your report that's not assigned to a dashboard, will appear right here. So these reports are basically available to be added to a dashboard. So to add them, like since we want the header to be up top, we just drag the header and release it. And if I want to hide the header, I just say right click on the header and show and click hide header. And if I want to change that, just say click the back arrow to show the header again. If I want to edit the header, I can basically double click it. And like these are some of the functions, like sheet's name, it basically takes the name of the worksheet. But if you want to type something specific, you can just like remove that and type whatever you want to type. Put whatever font color or like font size or anything you want to do right here. So if I close that, the next thing is like moving the body of the report, the enrollment. And oh no, that's not what I want to do. So I want to drag that to the bottom. Okay. And now like I can just like adjust the height of it. I don't need this one. I can just close it. And if I want, I can move this to the bottom. Okay, so I can basically, like Android showed earlier, you can adjust this height however you want, and like space everything to your liking. Let me make sure I move this to the bottom a little bit. Drag this down. So basically, this is the header. You have like all the college name across and like the values, the enrollment count at the bottom. So these are just like distinct counts. So if somebody is taking classes like in multiple, is enrolled, has like multiple enrollment, they will be counted only once. And whatever college they counted, they will appear there. So for this drill down now to work, it's gonna be doing the same thing Android did earlier, going and creating an action. So for that, click on dashboard and scroll down to actions. And just as done earlier, it's gonna be clicking on add action and at the bottom, selecting add set action. So the first thing we will do right here is basically name this action, and that name will be enrollment drill down. Okay. So the dashboard is also already selected. All the sheets added to the dashboard are selected. And the run action we need is the select. The target set will be college set. And the college set is basically the same set that was done in the degrees. And we can set this to add value to set. And also for clearing, we can just say like remove all values. So I'm going to stop here for a second for everybody to basically catch up, but it's basically the same thing that was done in the previous report. Once that's done, click OK. And OK again. So now if I click on one of the arrow, it basically expand and show like all the department within that specific area. And if I click on it again, it basically close it. So the first one Andre showed was basically doing like dual axis. And this is most likely using just like one measure to create a different type of report and utilizing the same option like where people can expand and collapse. Because like sometimes when you're doing reports, you don't want all the data showed and people can aggregate the data. It's basically a good option for those kind of reports. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically all I had. And yeah, if you have any questions or any comment, please let us know. Okay, so the question is, if she makes changes in the dashboard, would she have to go to the sheets, or the dashboard changes would update the sheets? Inside of the dashboard, the sheets are inside of the dashboard. There are changes you can just do inside of the dashboard and they will just apply, because all you did like is basically bring the sheet into the dashboard. And on this arrow, if you click on this arrow, it will take you directly to the sheet. But anytime you make a change, it will affect the sheet directly. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Let me try. Yeah, either you can add like an additional column, or it depends on how you set your calculated field. The question was like, once you click on your drill down, the title of the college disappear and the department appear. That's done because the way the calculated field was set. So if you want to show that field, you can either add like an additional column that would just like show the name of the college, or set your calculated field differently. Yeah. Any additional question? And I don't know if somebody is monitoring the questions online. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you guys don't have any question, I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank Andre for putting this together. So I'm gonna pass it back to Andre now to close it.
Thanks, Lou. Thank you, everyone, again. One of the reasons why we wanted to put these sessions on is that over the last couple of years, Data Services has tried to expand the footprint of Tableau and our mission to democratize data across the campus. And so part of this is allowing folks to understand that approaching data is not as scary as it may seem. We offer a service that allows departments to be onboarded into our Tableau server, where we provision you an actual folder where you can create your own reports. We even give you access to enterprise data that comes from many of our ERP systems, such as our finance with Workday, our research administration, our banner systems, as well as our HCM data. Obviously, you do have to go through data steward approval. We have a data steward in the room, so we've got to make sure we say that. But you do have to get approval before you get access to that data. But once you do get access to that data, you're allowed to build reports for your department. And it kind of creates a citizen developer around campus where you don't have to wear the hat of IT to do this. You can be an admin assistant, you can be a program manager, you can be a faculty. And so we want to encourage folks that if you're interested in having your department be onboarded so that you may be able to build some stuff unique to your needs and your units or departments, to reach out to us. Justin Boone is our service delivery for Tableau server. So he can be reached, or you can shoot an email to me at Andre Goodman. So we want to serve the campus to make sure that folks have access to data. Obviously, we build a large amount of reports around campus, but we can't answer every single question. And so having self-service through Tableau is a great way to sort of bridge that divide for units that have very unique needs in terms of their reporting. So again, thank you all for coming to Data Days, and we have one more day tomorrow, so please come back to join us again for another great day of data. Thank you again. Bye-bye.